Oh, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of YOMO. This is actually a makeup session because I, for whatever reason, completely dropped the ball last time. But this is actually part two of the conclusions of the Wim Hof Method. So I think we are on book 199. It's one more to 200.
Yeah, and I just finished three. I'm going on 335 now. So we're in the final
Gosh.
30. We're in the final 30 reflection stretch. On the other side of this. So
Mhm.
we're getting there, man. But yeah, so this is part two of the Wim Hof method. For anybody that doesn't remember, Wim Hof is this guy known as the Iceman. He does like a lot of cold water immersion. Techniques and things like that. He's really big into like cold water immersion and how it helps your body, and also like breathing exercises to help control your heart rate, to help regulate body temperatures, and a lot of other things to kind of help them to endure through the cold, but also to heal a little bit better, and also
But
to
also, he can endure the heat as well.
yeah, it's regulating his heart. Like he does the breathing stuff is to
Yeah,
regulate your
even
heart.
though he's known as the Iceman, but he actually can run in like sweltering heat for the longest time. He was trying to do some kind of a long distance running in the heat in a way.
Yeah.
He's like keep going, and I don't know, he does it.
He can control his heart rate. Like he can control it fast and slow. Like when he's cold, he speeds it up, and when he's warm, he slows it down. Like I mean, so that way your body, doesn't, stays cooler.
Hmm.
When you're in the heat. So,
Man,
but
that
yeah,
guy's
that's
something.
yeah. He's pretty impressive. So part one, if you don't remember, that was talking about what I found in the cold. It was just we were just having a discussion about the Wim Hof method in general, and kind of what it is and all that good stuff. Part two is, or sorry, part one was called Now We Go Into the Cold, and it was about Wim Hof. Part two is what I found in the cold. So if you remember from the first
So this
session,
is actually the reflection.
yes, yeah, kind of. The first one was more about Wim Hof in general, of just discovering it and
I
kind
mean,
of
the first one there wasn't any reflection. You say,
no,
hey,
no, yeah.
now we're going to the cold.
It's true. Yeah, there was there
Okay.
wasn't there wasn't a ton of reflection on that first one. Yeah, so this one is more the reflection of what I found in the cold. So after I did the 30-day challenge, right,
Hmm.
and that was doing the daily breathing and the cold shower every single day. So the way that this whole process worked was, um, you I started off with 1 minute cold shower, and then each week it added like 15 seconds or something like that. So by the end of it, I got up to like I want to say like 2 minutes or 2:30 or something like that of a cold shower every day, and then the breathing exercises. I usually did like 4 cycles of it, where you would breathe, for like 30 breaths or something like that, and then you would hold your breath for as long as you could, and then breathe again for another 30 breaths and hold your breath, and then breathe again for another 30 breaths. So you do that like probably 3 or 4 cycles every day. So that was the process that I went through. And then I would also, as soon as I was done with my breathing stuff, I would do like a push-up challenge. Because your body gets filled with so much, your blood's pumping everywhere after the breathing challenge. It like makes it like really easy, a lot easier to do a lot of push-ups. So that was like a bonus little challenge that I did here. So after every time I get done with my breathing thing, I would just go do as many push-ups as I could in one sitting. So what ended up happening, this is actually a remarkable challenge, and I still do it to today. So what I found in the cold was something that helped me to align overall to my values, that I didn't know it. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy this. So for me personally, I didn't go into this with any goal, and I honestly had no idea what to expect at all from this. I was just like, all right. I read the book. I kind of liked the guy. I felt like I had some similarities to him and his journey, and I was like, let's give this thing a go. So I did. And what I ended up finding in the cold at the highest level is another side to balance that I didn't know that I was missing. So if we go back to this whole journey up until this point in time, I, you know, Amelia, the thing, the what happened in my life with Amelia happened at the beginning of all this, and I was just stuck in the here and now for like and it was terrifying. It was awful, right? Like it was just nothing but I didn't have an imagination anymore. I didn't have any creativity or curiosity or thinking about any thoughts about the future, because trauma, as we talked about, like with the body keeps a score, trauma had wiped that out of my memory, and I was just in the moment with all the pain of losing my daughter. So through this journey, I found a way to bring myself back and regain my curiosity and imagination by focusing on living as many of my values as I can and bringing that to life, and then reimagining me doing that with Amelia. So my goal became every single day to live a balanced life was to do as many actions as I could with my daughter by performing my values and bringing my values to life. That was what I was under the impression of. It was living a balanced existence, and it was like it was working. It worked. Like it brought me back to a point in time where I regained my imagination. I was, felt like I was a healthy, functioning human being again, and I was able to spend time with my daughter and understand what happened to us, and was curious again, asking a lot of questions, et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing that I've forgotten, I ran so far away, down that road and kind of the molecule more road, that I had forgotten what it was like, way back at the other end of the extreme when this whole journey started, being in the here and now. And when I started this challenge, it brought me back there in a hard way, in a good way. Like the moment that I walked into that first cold shower and tried this challenge, I mean, I literally, this was my plan, as everybody always says, like, the old Mike Tyson quote, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, kind of thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? You ever heard that quote? Okay. So when I walked into that first cold shower, I before I did it, I was like, here's my plan. I was like, I'm gonna go meditate with Amelia. I was like, I'm gonna go to my parents' lake house. We're gonna be out on a boat. We're gonna be, I'm gonna be towing her in the back. She's on the tubes, and I'm just pulling her along in the pontoon boat, and Luca's in the boat. And that, literally, this is what I was thinking before I walked into the shower the first day. I was like, I'm just gonna go into my mind and go meditate and imagine that is where we're at, and I couldn't, because the cold was so fucking cold. Like, and it as soon as that hits you, your body goes into survival mode, right? And you're like, you're hyperventilating, you're panicking, your body's clenching, tensing up. Like, you can't have your mind feel safe and secure to be able to go to that spot. Even no matter how hard I tried, I could never do it. I tried to do it for the first like few days, but every single time I would do it, I couldn't get past the sensation of that, the cold just hitting me, taking me back into, it's cold, Chris. It's cold. It's cold. Like, like it's not like, it's not, I can't just like, imagine my way out of it, kind of thing, So it kept bringing me back into this spot where I was like, well, shit, I guess I just gotta, embrace the cold, like, and then it became me just not thinking about anything. I just would walk in there and I would say, this is going to suck for a little bit, and like, focus on my breath or whatever, just something to like, to try to rip my heart up or slow it down or something along those lines. But I couldn't go anywhere in my mind. I had to just, be in that moment of the cold shower. So that was my first, like, aha that I found in the cold was, I can't run away. Like, I have to be in the moment, and it brought me back to have to lock in on this moment, right? So then I go and I do my breathing every day, and I'll tell you what, like the first few times, I told you about this. You remember when I was doing this, I was like, I hate this. I was like, it's awful. My heart felt like it was gonna explode out of my chest. I could feel this like throbbing in my neck, like muscle, or the vein in my neck, just just throbbing as I thought I was gonna have a heart attack, because like it was right this one, like right above my heart, and I could just feel it just like pulsing, like just really hard pulsing into my head. I was getting like my ears were ringing really bad, while I was doing it, like, and I felt like I was gonna pass out a few times, and I was like, this is not fun. I was like, if this is supposed to be enjoyable, this sucks, and I remember telling you like about this the first like, week or two that I was doing this. I was like, I don't know. I was like, the cold showers, I kind of am digging them, but like the breathing, I hate it. Like, I was like, this is awful. And I don't know when it was exactly, but somewhere like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks in, I started to really actually like the breathing. And what I liked about it the most was it was relaxing. Like I really enjoyed it when I would go through the breath hold, and I would feel like this warmth in my head and my body. It actually started to feel like almost like a cold shower. Like I could feel like not tingling, but like I could feel like icy, because I was holding my breath for so long, and then I was pumping blood everywhere, and then I could just start to feel like this weird sensation, like this icy sensation that like started to like wash over me. And then I really enjoyed just almost meditating. Like when I would hold my breath, it was just you and your thoughts. I mean, because you can't do anything. You can't breathe. You can't move. You can't do anything. I was just sitting there, just thinking, and then eventually I would not think. And like as they would, the first couple cycles, I would be fighting thoughts, and then until I couldn't hold my breath any longer, and then like the third, fourth time, it almost happened every single time. By the time I got to the third, fourth cycle, like I just had no thoughts. Like it was just you're done with you're on your breath hold, and you're just I don't know where I was. I was just there. Like I could and then I would decide I was done, and then I'd get up and I'd do some push-ups, and there you go. So the not only now with the cold, I was like really connected to the moment because I couldn't go anywhere and I couldn't run. And then with the breathing, I found like really like a lot, kind of a relaxation moment where I got to spend like 15 to 20 minutes, just kind of being like lying there and just kind of being with my own thoughts, and then eventually no thoughts. And it was very meditative. And then I got up and I got to do some push-ups and get my blood going again and heart pumping a little bit harder. And I don't know, I loved it. I felt connected to the moment, and I felt like I found another side of the balance equation that I had been neglecting for a really long time, which was to be able to connect in the moment, to be present in the moment versus chasing that molecule of more with my values and spending time with Amelia and my imagination. Now I was finding a way to connect into the moment today, and it really wasn't with Amelia. It was more with myself, honestly. It was with just me in the moment, because when I'm doing stuff with my values, it's always with Amelia in my mind, and that's our way to keep our self connected. And for some reason, this other stuff is a way for me to find, connection with myself a little bit in the moment, yeah, I mean, I think after I thought about it and did this month and challenge, and I was like, I kind of like this a lot. I mean, I still do. This was 8 months ago now or whatever it was, and I still regularly do it. I don't do it every day. The breathing I probably do like 3 times a week. And whenever I can find maybe like 20 minutes or something like that in the middle of the day, just to kind of take like a midday break. And the cold showers, I technically do that every day. Technically, I haven't been this whole winter because I've been forcing myself to run outside in the actual cold. So by the time I come back in, I'm kind of like frozen. So I call that my cold shower. Only on days when I run on the treadmill indoors, then I take like a cold shower afterwards. Just during this winter. But that's kind of been my mental focus of trying to to embrace the cold, because it does suck. Running the cold sucks. Like, I mean, actually, I'm starting to really like it now, a lot more than I thought I was going to. But it's not much different than the cold shower, because you have to connect into the moment. It's hard to breathe. It's harder to breathe. It's harder to get your body moving and your blood pumping, and I mean, it's not the same sensation where you're like hyperventilating. And you're like, oh my god, like, I mean, it's intense. But it does take your breath away when it's a really cold 20-degree day out or 15-degree day out or something like that outside, and you got to catch up to it. So I call that a win for me, just immersing myself for like 30 minutes outdoors running. But yeah, so long story short, I actually really enjoyed this challenge. I learned a lot, and I found a different side of the equation, of the balance equation, that I've come to embrace a lot more of, just kind of maybe being a little bit more connected in the here and now. And yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts.
So with all these, I guess, results that you got, what would you say one would be the lesson that we should be taking out of this?
The results were meaningless. I didn't care about the results.
No, like the lesson that we should be taking out of your ahas. There's a bunch of ahas that I've heard, but if you had to say, distill it to one thing to take away from this lesson, what would we say that would that be? I mean,
I think I found another side of the balance equation that I was avoiding, of the here and now side of the balance equation, and balancing that with the molecule of more. Like, I thought balancing the molecule of more was balance. I found a deeper understanding of balance for me, of another side of the balance equation.
So in what you're saying is that there needs to be a balance between the molecule of more and the molecule of here now.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Right. So before the Wim Hof challenge, you were more leaning towards the molecule of more, mostly.
I was only primarily on the molecule of more balance train. I was trying to balance my values of the molecule of more. That was my
So
focus.
so so what if I'm hearing you right, the balance equations applies to almost everything,
Yeah.
right? Whether not your mental state has to
Yeah.
be a balance between the molecule of more and the molecule of here now, and the balance of doing too much of
Of
one
either.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Like, yeah. I mean, if you
Okay,
if you went to a meditative retreat in the Himalayas or something like that for like 6 weeks and all you did was meditate, I think that would be forsaking, action and activity in the molecule of more. You know what I mean? Like, so it,
right.
it was going back to like the beginning of the reflection. I ran really far away from the here and now because the here and now terrified me. When my here and now was just
Hmm.
life without
It's
meaning.
painful. I
Right. It was
understand.
painful. Yeah.
Right.
But coming back to it, it like it's funny you have to kind of go through pain to come back to the here and now. But like this was a good pain. Like the cold and the breathing, like the pain became. I don't know about fun. I don't know. There was something pleasant about it. It's like, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know how to even describe that, but I
I
didn't know.
mean, sometimes like ripping off a band-aid. I mean, it's painful, but it feels good for whatever reason.
It gives you a
And
sensation for sure. I mean, it's
yeah,
a
exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think you can relate to that just because sometimes having because you think about having to run or to do weight for the first time, and then your body is sore, right? For you to kind of like massage it, it's painful. It hurts,
right,
but it
right.
it's a sense of relief in that sense. So I think in that context, I think we can understand for whatever reason that dynamics works
Yeah,
because even though it's painful, but it kind of reminds you of I guess the recovery. You think about in the muscle sense, you have this muscle soreness, and then you are massaging it. Yeah, it's painful, but
yeah,
the instant when you massage it, it feels painful, but the release of the inflammations of the blood or whatever, it senses recovery, and that
right,
recovery sense, it feels good. I think some of that can be applied to what you're feeling here.
right. Yeah, I agree with
Um,
you. I mean, it's
right.
when you experience pain and it's like the eat the frog almost, like I know this isn't eat the frog, but this is like kind of like the eat the frog. When you do
I mean,
something
eat
that
the
really
frog, and
sucks,
then
it's always
somebody
up. Yeah,
somebody shoved the frog in down your throat, and then it's your you spitting it out.
right. Yeah,
It's still painful. It's still bitter, but
right.
actually spitting it out. So it's the recovery sensation that makes it. Yeah, hey, it's good.
Yeah, it's all up from there, right? I mean,
Right.
I, I know we've shit on the whole eat the frog, versus eat the cake kind of thing. And, embracing the molecule more is eat the cake, right? Like I do think that it's more important to stay more well, I don't know. It's important to have a balance of both. But like I personally still am gonna lean more toward um more activities that relate to my molecule of more because I like curiosity, questioning, imagination, and spending time with my daughter more than I like, pain in the present, I guess. But like I know that
Well,
they're
that's
both
why we say
necessary.
before is,
Right.
I mean, you and I we had a long discussion on the molecule of more and the molecule of where now, and I'm saying it, yes, when you are not focusing on your core values, a lot of things you do are not of your own volition.
Right.
So you don't like it,
Yeah.
and when you don't like it, you escape to the future,
Yep.
to a fictitious future that you make up for yourself. Hey, I want to become this, free from the pain. And so to me, the molecule of more is an escape from the painful reality.
Yeah.
But once you create, because the thing is, the painful reality, it's like my quadrant of it's not urgent, but it's important,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yep.
you go into this. if you don't take care of the molecule of more, right, the future, when it comes, it's going to make that whatever it is become urgent if you don't take care of it. And
Yeah.
so it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of people escape the reality and they focus on something in the future. And a lot of times, what I see is that those future do not correlate with what you're trying to solve right now. So you have to have a little bit of the here and now to know whatever you're trying to fix or trying to rectify,
Mhm.
it is an impact on the here and now. And a lot of people completely disconnect those two. And when you do that, right, the whatever becomes urgent becomes fatal and becomes critical
Right.
because you don't take care of it. So, in the past when we're talking about the molecule more, the book, and I guess one of the warning I give out was you have to want to do the molecule more, but once you have the molecule more, you focus your molecule more on something that is core values to you.
Right.
That
Your purpose.
becomes
It's got to
the
be
it
purpose driven.
becomes yeah. So it becomes the what is not urgent but important. When you
Right.
focus on that, then the urgency of these things won't become, very urgent and important.
Hmm.
Because like when we talk about your health, so if you think about focusing your market more the on the core values, eventually your reality will become something that you want. Because you think about it, if you put a beaver in the desert, right? He's going to have his mind elsewhere to escape from the painful reality of being you know dried up
Right.
and heat stroke and all that. But if he doesn't seek out the river and the water source that he needs to exist in, then he won't. But eventually, if he continue to use a market more on his core values, eventually he'll find the water source. But
Hmm.
at that time, he wants to go back to being the molecule here now. You have to think about it. So you have to use a molecule more to make yourself become this, like we talk about method acting. You have to put yourself into the positions of something that you want. And then once you have that, then you have to cut back on the molecule more. That's what I'm saying is in the beginning, if you don't have what is the reality that you want, you spend more time, 80% maybe, 80-20
Right.
on your molecule more. But once you find and establish your reality that you want, that you need to live in the reality, because we said before is the only thing you have is the present.
Yeah.
We don't have
Yeah.
the future. The future is uncertain. We don't know
Right.
if we're going to live life tonight, today, tomorrow, the next day. And the past is something that it's not.
It's already done. I mean,
It's done. It's gone.
yeah. Yeah. It's
And
nothing you
so
can
I
do about
I
that.
think I think go back to the same, I guess the same principle of the company core value, which is balance. You have to kind of
Mhm.
use that to center yourself and to be able to quote unquote balance on the I don't know what you call this, the
Continuum of,
not the not continuum, but like the disc of life. Talking about
yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
talking about the disc, right? The disc of life. This life is not going to stand still, and it's going to
Right.
wobble, and you're going to have to balance on it.
Hmm.
And so having the ability to kind of shift your center of gravity to balance these discs to make sure that you still on it and not get spun off of the disc. And so having that, I think, is important. It reminds me of something you said like way, way earlier in our journey is when you said, when you go up the mountain, right? And you meditate and you found the aha, then you need to come back down to the
Test it
valleys
out.
and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and so you have to do the thing. You can't
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
stay in the mountain like a monk and just
Right.
say, hey, life, I'm disconnecting myself from life and not have anything to do with the reality. And I think,
Right.
I mean, even before we understood what company was about. You had that idea of, that's why when we were building the website, you say, hey, I want somebody staying, go on the
Yeah.
mountain, right?
Right.
Do some stuff and then go down to the valley and do some work, right?
Right. Right.
Meaningful. So, I think it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
In terms of, we didn't completely have clarity on what company was, but we had a faint idea of what it is we want. And I think
Well, you can say, I think you can still say that now. And I think you could probably say that for forever until we're done, like, which is fun
right.
like,
But my point is
it
that
always evolves. Yeah.
the omens,
Mhm.
the signs is confirming what we believe to be true for us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is gives you a higher level of confidence in the thing that you're doing. Just like you and I were doing the company core values class, and then
Mhm.
now you're doing it for your own team, and we know that this is something that actually works.
Yeah. Oh, for
And
sure. I mean, 1,000%. Not only does it work, they're getting stronger and growing every day on their own. I mean, like
mhm,
it's like it's just it's funny you mentioned this. Well, first off, this particular monthly challenge and then the follow-up challenge was the Swedish the art of Swedish gentle art of Swedish death cleaning. So I did
uh-huh,
so like connecting to the here and now and both of those challenge and focusing on like what's in front of me and focusing on like with the death cleaning kind of thing of you know does this need to be a part of my life? Have I spent the time that I want to spend with it? What's its purpose? And then letting go of it, like the act of letting go and then the act of kind of being really connected into this was a big and the wherever you go there you are book just a few weeks
mhm,
ago I talked about like this portion of the journey for me was a big pivot point in terms of um I'll say this like uh I accumulated a lot of uh unexpected wins um uh from the start of this journey until about this point where a lot of things were just happening just by sheer accumulation of stuff that was building up and it wasn't ever the goal but it was happening right and then
mhm.
like and then about this point in time like it wasn't that I hit a plateau. It's just that I stopped caring even about the outcomes that were happening. Like a part of me kept saying, I don't really care about it. And I agreed and I didn't, but at the same time, it also feels nice sometimes to achieve stuff. And you're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. Like, but
Well, I think this go back to what we said before. There gotta be a balance because
right.
you want, because you can't be competitive at everything.
Mhm.
You don't want to.
E- e- ex-
You don't you
exactly.
don't
This is
you don't
this is
want to
exactly
never
it.
quit on everything. You want to
Right.
quit smoking. You want to quit
Right.
doing bad things. But when something is important, you want to endure. This is
Yes.
why I don't like the word never quit, because never quit doesn't give you any kind of perspective, no context.
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
enduring means I am doing this because this is something that's important to me.
Right.
So I think having that sense of what's important to you, if you keep achievements, but achievements for the thing that's important to you, I think this is good.
Yeah.
But achievement for something for the sake of achievements,
It, it's
I
it's
think that's
it's
just
it's
foolhardy.
worthless. Yeah, it's just worthless. I mean, it's beyond it's less than worthless. It's a um uh and actually I even wrote it in this reflection. You can see right here at the end of it. I was like that this experiment, none of it was about getting some results. However, like I can't disregard the results that I did get from it. I was averaging a 2 minute and 15-second cold shower every day.
Hmm.
I held my breath for almost 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I did 72 continuous push-ups. This is at the time of this, right? I think my longest like breath hold since then is I think like 310 and
Wow,
I think I did like
that's
70
incredible.
yeah that was an anomaly but my average now is usually around like the 220 to 230 kind of thing when I do my
That's still a
sessions
lot. I mean,
right
I can
right
only
yeah,
do 40 seconds, and that's with practice. And when I first started out doing the breath hold, 30 seconds.
yeah.
30 seconds was the like my maximum.
I mean it's you just when you just keep doing well I guess I'm sharing this to say like it's still going up from there, but I don't really care anymore. Like honestly, I used to care, about like how long was I, I was like, I would look at my stats like of like on the Wim Hof app when I would do my breathing every day and stuff like
Right.
that.
Well, and that's
And
the thing is that it's all the
right,
perspective, right?
right,
Perspective is what you're looking for. I mean, I can give you
right.
an example, Do you care how far you walked with your wife down some kind of park? It's
No,
not about the how far you walked or how short you walked. It's about how much
spending
time you
time. Yeah,
spend
right.
with
Yeah,
her,
right.
right? So to me, that's a perfect example of, there are certain goals
Agreed.
means nothing.
I when I run these days, like I stopped timing my runs. Like I don't even care anymore. Some days I run faster, some days I run slower. Yesterday I was just telling you about, it was just the most beautiful day ever yesterday, and I went
Mm.
on a usually on Sundays I give myself like a rest day because I usually play tennis on Saturdays, and then I usually give myself like Saturday and Sunday I try to not push myself super hard with like workouts because I save it for Monday through Friday. But for some reason yesterday, I knew that it was just a beautiful day, and Amelia and I heard Amelia calling like, let's go take a run and go listen to a book, and I was
Mhm.
like, all right, let's just go do this. And I was just cruising along. Like I was like, I felt great. Like I was like, this is, I don't know how fast I was going, but I know I was going pretty fast, and I wasn't even really trying. And or fast for me, I guess, and but I wasn't thinking about it. I was just enjoying the run, spending time with my daughter, having a good time. Today, I, it's like I shit you not. Today, like I started. It's cold out today. Not cold. I mean, it was like probably in the 30s when I went on a run this morning, and
Well, that's cool for me.
yeah, right. It was far chillier today than it was yesterday, and I ran pretty far yesterday, and I woke up this morning, started running, and I don't know why last night I decided on the weekends also I'm not pretty strict with my diet or anything, so I ate like you know uh some ice cream I think last night and some like cookies, after dinner before like anyway, so my stomach was a little bit full, still because I ate some food that I normally shouldn't probably eat, like, and I don't usually eat on ever on the weekdays when I do like normal workouts. And I ran a pretty long distance yesterday, and I started my run this morning, and I was like, I felt like I had like lead legs. I was like, what the fuck? I'm not joking. Like the first like half mile, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I was like, I feel like I can't move. And then I literally looked up and I just started laughing. I was like, no, touche. It's like this is gonna be a slow one, and I know it. Like, and it was like, I mean, it was a really slow ass run this morning, and I was not going doing my best, and I never found my stride, but I was like, but I knew like it's okay. Like I don't care. I'm just spending time with my daughter. Like just get through the run. Like have fun and enjoy the time at being outside. And it'll maybe be better tomorrow. Maybe it'll be worse. But like I don't care. Like it's not like I wake up every morning trying to impress somebody with like some time or whatever. It's not like when I do these Wim Hof things like that I'm going to talk to my Wim Hof club people and they're like monitoring. Oh well, you're you know
Yeah,
you're
my
you're
number is better than yours.
right. And I'm like, I just like it just all these things have become, and it's through this practice and these processes and this whole entire journey, like all these things have become irrelevant to
Right.
the activity itself, like and doing what you want
Yeah,
to do.
we understand more about ourselves and
Right.
we focus on the things that is important to us and that's beneficial for us versus things that people say
Right.
it's beneficial for you because we say, hey, my number is better, I run faster, I held my breath longer. So these things
That's
are
great.
vanity metrics that, for whatever reason, we've been conditioned to think it is important.
Yeah.
And once you understand that, then it doesn't. I mean, it's only when you can know yourself first. Only until then you can use that as point of reference to measure yourself
Right.
and say, yes, this thing, yeah, I make this achievement, and this achievement is meaningful, or this achievement isn't meaningful. Because,
Right.
like I say, I don't run for train, and I don't feel at all any guilt
Right. Who
because
cares? Right.
exactly
Yeah.
you relearned the habits
Right.
that you create. So it's one of those things where I think having a sense of who you are is the fundamental thing you can do before you can say, hey, yeah, these things are important. Because if you don't, then there's nothing to compare against. So you're gonna take everything that is going to be thrown at you from society, from the people that is
Yeah.
surrounding you.
Yeah.
People say, "Hey, eat the frog is the way to go," and because you have nothing to butter against, you can say, "Yeah, okay, let's eat the frog."
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Well,
you ate one frog, I ate two frogs. Yeah, I'm
right.
better than you. But
Well, that becomes a drug. It becomes the molecule more. It becomes an addiction versus your addictions are controlling
it's
you
spiral out
versus
of control because
yeah,
people. I mean, you look at society today. Back in the 60s, even 1540s. Most people they probably work like one person work and can pay for the whole family. Right nowadays, everybody is working.
right.
Both spouse works to make ends meet, and not only that, they are stressed out because they are working overtime. Sometimes they're working. Uh, they take the work at home. They go
Right.
work, right, and then go home and work again. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but aren't you going to do late night work after you put your kids to sleep and stuff like that? I mean,
I
this is
don't,
to
but yeah,
me. I mean, you don't, but yeah, I'm
yeah,
talking about
for sure I could.
the average
Yeah.
Americans. This is what they do.
Right.
And this is what I hear. Through the
Oh no,
vines and
you're right.
whatnot.
I mean, I could. I don't care. I mean, I'm
Because
not gonna do it. Right.
you knew where your important things
Right.
are. Always people don't. I mean, like for example, I heard from you actually, your boss, right? She works at night and she sends you, your former
Yeah.
boss when she sends you stuff to do and blah 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 and all this and that, and then I mean that's what people do is they work all the time, and not only that one person work, but two-person work.
Yeah.
And so you going from like quote unquote, normal, like you go to full time, like normal 40 hours a week, right? Minimum
Right.
40 hours a week. And
You're
people
really
work
on
like
the whole time,
50,
Yeah.
60 and whatever.
You may
And
not be
so
working, but you're always on. Like, I mean, like
I,
you're always just waiting for the
it's
next
just not
ping.
productive
Yeah.
work. It's just
Yeah.
not
You're right.
productive work. You spend time on it. You spend your precious resources, most
Right.
precious resources on it. You're constantly, just like we're talking about before, if you have so many things that you hold on in your head, right? Those brain cells are not available for the other stuff that you're doing. So you basically making yourself inefficient.
Right.
And so working in the same thing, you may not be accomplishing anything, but you still hold on to that single piece of information. Say, hey, I have to remember to do this. I have to remember to do that. Right? Essentially, those things are frozen and it being used, so you can't use it. So any kind of enjoyment, for example, I mean, you go on vacation, but you still have to think about work. Right? Can you enjoy vacation? I mean,
No,
a
it's
simple
awful.
question as that.
I
And
I
that
I actually I remember I think it was like 30, and I went on this vacation to Costa Rica with my wife for our anniversary because we got married during spring break because she's a teacher, so we would always go like on a nice big trip for spring break every year, and that was when we got married initially too, so it was always our anniversary. I distinctly remember like I had my fucking team pinging me all day, every day, because that was how the model that I had set up because I had to, because my boss made me do XYZ and nobody else could do it. So like I was getting, it was the most stressful vacation ever because every day I had to wake up at a certain time because I was on a different time zone than them as well. And I it, like had to
that's
be
just
there
double work, right?
all like,
Your
it's
job was to enjoy vacation and to be there for your wife, to be
right.
having a good time. But then you have the other double work is how to make sure that I
I
take
got to
care of all
find
these
time to
things.
slip away. Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
I
to
got like, yeah,
me, going on vacation is actually more stressful than
yeah,
you
it is.
hadn't
Yeah.
gone on vacation.
Yeah.
And so
I mean,
that's my point is once you have something that held in your head, right? You can't use your other brain cell to do anything else.
it
You can't
sucks.
use it
Yeah.
to do critical thinking. You can't use it to enjoy what the here now. The Wherever you are, you can be on the most beautiful beaches and sandy and white sand and whatever amenities
You're watching your
that
Slack
yeah,
blow
I
up
mean, the
while,
only thing you
like,
remember is you watching the super slag, or
yeah,
you watching your watch. You say, hey, it's
right.
time to go. I mean, it's like you go on to vacation. You went out with your friends to get a drink, and then you say, hey, I have to. I only can have like 30 minutes. I have to go jump back on to this meeting to kind of
Right.
do whatever. I mean, that's all you remember. I mean,
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's awful. So before I go, I know because we got to wrap here soon. I had a question for you. So This is something I've been. I don't know if you have an answer for this, or maybe something you want to ponder for a little bit longer, because I don't know the answer to this yet. I'm still trying to figure this out. Is it possible to be world class, like truly world class, like the best and the best of the best in a kind environment, without caring about outcomes? Is it even possible? I mean, I ask this to say, like the stuff that we're talking about, I don't know. I think you almost have to be obsessive addictive in a bad way, and to the extreme, for you to ever get past that like, like I think of like professional tennis players, right? Like number 1 to number 300 in the world are all the best damn tennis player in the freaking world, and there's very little margin that separates the best of the best of the best, the Novak Djokovic's, from the dude you've never heard of or whatever, that that barely makes the cut each week, and gets on, or like a professional golfer or something like that, right? There's very little difference that separates Tiger Woods from some random dude that just got his tour card or whatever, right? Like, and what I'm getting at is like those guys that are at the top, is it possible to have this mindset and still be able to achieve that? And I don't mean that. And can you not care and do it for the love of what you're doing it for, and also at the same time get to that level?
Well, I think that's a must. You have to not care about the outcome.
Oh, I
To
agree.
become really good at what you do, you can be really good, but not the best, not
I,
world class,
uh,
unless you don't care about. Because you think about it,
I've
if you love the art,
yeah.
right? You play tennis for the sake of the art, then you can be better than anyone and stay on the top, stay world class for the longest time. But if you always
Yes.
chasing something, if you chasing something, you are always behind that person.
I agree. So I will say this. I definitely know that and I will say this not definitively, because I can't ever fully guarantee it, but Novak Djokovic and I, or Rafa Nadal, we're very similar aged, in general. I would be willing to bet almost anything you ever wanted to bet, that at some point in time in my life I will beat them in tennis. And somebody would go, no, you can't. I don't care, like, never. And I'll go, well, I'll probably still be playing
That
tennis
depends on your path.
when I'm 90 years old, and I'll probably still be doing activity and things like that to stay faster. I'll be faster and stronger and probably better and more, and have grown in my skill set over even if I'm 90 years old. And I have a weird feeling that people that get to that level, like a Novak or Rafa, they'll be like, I don't want to ever pick up a racket again, maybe, or something like that. I'm okay. Or even if they do, it'll be like, oh, I'll do it like once or twice a year with my kids as I go watch them play or something like that. Like you see it all the time in like professional football or whatever. Like people, retire and then they become massively overweight, and like their whole entire world just balloons out of out of orbit, and you're like, how are you ever a professional athlete? It's
Right.
like they can get so locked in.
And
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And that's why I say it's a must. It's a must.
Yeah.
You have to love the art to
I agree.
become world class.
Right.
Because the thing is,
But there's
talent
time
count.
limits. There's time
Talent
limits.
count. Well, yes and no. Because you're talking about there is a conditions or criteria with talent, or you have a talent for it that gives you a more accelerated pace to world class. But if you don't love the art, this is what you call the long tail,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
No, I
Because
agree.
the
No.
long tail is like,
Yeah.
eventually, Novak would stop because he doesn't like it as
Right.
much.
Maybe.
He just
Maybe.
he likes the outcome, but not the art.
Right.
Because the thing is, if you say, can you beat Novak? But knowing if Novak is exactly like you and say, hey, he also loves the art and he also doesn't care about the outcome,
Then I would never
and
beat him.
he has also the talent, then you won't. You
Right.
won't ever beat him because but if you saying he has a talent, but you have the love for the art, then yes, I will willing to bet you that you will beat him one of these days.
Yeah. I mean, I
But
wonder
if
if
he
Pete
has
Sampras.
everything that you have, he loves the art, he doesn't care as well, then and have the talent on top of that, So you will never beat him because he will stop. You don't stop playing. He won't stop playing. So how can you surpass him?
Uh, yeah, no, I agree. Like, I agree. All right, I think we should let's pause it just because I gotta jump, but I something to think about because I'm maybe my other caveat to the question is, can you do it in a condensed time frame where you would need to in order to compete with the way that the world works today? Like, meaning, like, could you become a
I would say they be the shortest time frame, but they, as far as the number of hours that you put in has to be more. Because if I love to play tennis or I love to code, no one can spend more time coding than me, regardless of the
yeah,
when you say
long term?
condense, it
Yeah,
meaning the condense hey number of weeks, number of years, right? But when I do 5 times the amount of hours that the normal developer would spend on.
hmm.
So yes, in 2 years I can be as good or better than the one who spent 5 years. But the time I spent overall, like total quantity time, will be more than him. That's a caveat.
Yeah.
Because
No,
when you love something, you don't mind spending the time doing the thing. You don't mind spending the time playing tennis. You don't mind playing the time doing the coding or whatever. You still spend more time than, and that's the only caveat that you have. Is mastery cannot be done without having the effort.
yeah, no, I agree. Well, wholeheartedly with that one. So, all right, well, let's put a pin on this, and we can revisit it because it'd be a fun conversation. So, the question we can leave with everybody after the Wim Hof exploration is, how do you find balance between the future and the here and now? So, like, what do you do to blend those two worlds together and make your life a little bit more fulfilling and meaningful and more balanced? So, thanks for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Tomorrow sounds good. Good night, everybody.